Welcome back. Well. If it isn't me, myself, and I, and Jason, there you go. I recovered.
How did I become fourth on that list?
Jason,
Fourth.
me, myself, and I didn't sound right. Greetings. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Thumb palette enthusiast. That's false. Monday equals fun day. Am I right? It's the title of the stream, by the way.
Monday Fun Day. Am I right?
That's right.
That's what he put on there.
Defresh, paint liquor,
That's what he put on there.
sarcastic grandpa. Rattle can. Welcome in, everybody. What a glorious Monday.
Thumb palette says you're wrong.
You're
wrong.
Am I? Could be, potentially. Time will tell.
Welcome back. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend.
Valley Val.
It was Mom's Day.
It
Hope you
was.
celebrated a good Mother's Day or
Mother's
had a good Remembrance Day if your mother's no longer with us.
Yep.
I sent my mom a text.
Yeah. How'd that go?
Hmm?
How'd that go?
It was great. It was great.
Hope everybody had a great weekend. We are going to be playing with some heavy body acrylics this week.
No way.
So we are here for you, chat.
No way. Really?
Get hyped. Those are coming out next week.
The return
I
of your
believe,
favorite stream. Awesome.
right? The return of us.
Oh, whoa.
Oh.
I wasn't going to. I didn't know
There's the hands.
if it was us.
Oh.
So I just said, return of your favorite stream. That's awesome. It's awesome for Anna Ishtarki.
Annie Ishtarki, Monday is the return of my favorite stream. That's right.
You made it all about us. This is not
this
the
is
favorite
about,
stream that they're talking about?
What's the favorite stream?
Well, that's a question I don't like to ask.
Uh-oh.
You don't mind Mondays because they're usually your day off?
Oh, interesting.
Not bad. You work weekends, or at least one weekend day?
Monday's a metaphor. Everybody has a Monday.
I know some people who work weekends, and especially like people that bartend or service jobs where the weekend is a big moneymaker.
Yeah.
And so they work the weekend, and I like the idea of having like Monday, Tuesday off.
Monday, Tuesday.
I mean, I know that it just postpones Wednesday to be your Monday, but at the end of the day, you get days off where things actually happen. All the stores are open. You can get there when people aren't trying to crowd them up. If you have like errands to run, you can go to like Home Depot on a Tuesday, and it's not like Saturday or Sunday.
Could be nice.
So, Killjoy says, Chris, are you Jason's son? The answer is
no.
we don't discuss that in public.
Now, I could be a clone, like, the House of the Scorpion kind
He's
of
good
deal.
looking. He ain't that good looking.
Oh!
He's good looking, but he ain't that good looking. Let's not get things twisted here.
What's up with that TMM, the True Metallic liquor container he's drinking out of? Oh,
this is definitely a non-metallic stream.
No, he painted that cup, by the way.
That's all hand painted.
That's all hand painted.
This is all.
Show him that.
This is all non-metallic metal spun aluminum.
Yeah, that is the best non-metallic metal paint job you will ever see on the internet. Look at it, even reflects with the light.
Oh, it's so good.
He did it.
So good. Sup, nerds? Going on, Chuck.
Question.
Jade and Chuck at the same time, like
It's
within
so
1
early.
second of one another. What is going on over
It's
there?
so early. Here's a question for you, Jason.
I wanted to ask, I just watched and tried out your skin tutorial from the Lion Bus and wanted to know undercolors would you use for orc skin because you just printed out a Gazgul bus. Well, that's awesome. So depending on the type of green you're looking to do, the purple is still a go-to, the red is still a go-to, the green is where you fall short. And so you have to think in terms of, okay, I on orc skin like a flesh tone, right? And then glazing green over that so that you get a little bit of a fleshy, like Caucasian skin tone under the green always works really well. So if you go purple into a burnt red oxide, one of those reds, that still gives you a good shadow layer. It gives you a good blood under the skin layer for the red, for all the flush areas, which orcs, I assume, still can. I mean, I guess a lot of that depends on in your mind, in your head canon, do orcs bleed red or do they bleed like green?
Or black blood or something.
Or black
like
or blue or whatever, because whatever that color is, that's what you do in that secondary thing. Black, you wouldn't. You'd probably just use purple at that point because black doesn't work as an underpaint color. It's just a shade. But, you know, for the rest of that, I think you could literally do anything. Like if you wanted to do purple and then you did blue, you know, because they have blue blood, you could do that. And then Caucasian flesh, like a tan flesh or even a shadow flesh on the forehead, wherever you see me use the bright yellow green style colors, and then glaze the green over that. Works really well.
So you would kind of just traditionally take your traditional skin workup and then just play around with skin tones based off of that.
Yeah.
Nice. Purple
Yep.
is always the correct answer.
Chuck says, never mind, I skipped work and went for a bike ride. What? Skipped work?
Nice, Chuck.
I love how he says, in today's episode of Adventures in Machine Land, oh, never mind, I skipped work and went for a bike ride.
Avian says, purple is the correct answer. This is true. What's up, T. Schmid? Red Spartan? Dunbris?
Going on, everybody. Let's get going.
Let's do this.
All right, so a little bird told me
A little bird.
that I am not allowed
We need it.
to use this.
We need a clean palette.
I have to get a clean piece of paper.
I would prefer it. No, you don't have to, but I would prefer it.
Well, and because Chris is kind of like your dad when he says, oh, you don't have to do what I tell you. But it would be beneficial.
It would be.
It would make my life easier if you just do what I told you.
It actually.
Chris doesn't lead through fear, he leads through guilt.
What?
He guilts you into doing the things he wants you to do.
Guilt. I don't.
Chris
guilt
is like,
anybody.
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. Jason, I'm not mad you didn't use a new piece of palette paper. I'm just disappointed. And he gives you these eyes.
It's not true.
He's doing it right now.
I'm not. Red Spartan. It's Seraphine, the race queen. Seraphine, the race queen.
He has a hard time with this one.
What is it? Is it Seraphine?
Seraphine the Wraith Queen.
Yeah, it's Seraphine. Seraphine the Wraith Queen.
Ta-da.
And I don't remember the company, but it was on a. I'm like, oh my gosh, where'd our palette go?
Cam's not working, Chris. Cam's not working.
Oh, it's working.
It's not working. It's off.
No.
See, there's nothing here.
No, we see
it's
it.
Not working.
It's working. We see it. It's working beautifully, actually.
All right. When we left off, we were working on the leather.
That's right.
So we're going to continue working on the leather, which means I get all these amazing colors that I don't have a good way to put out here yet, but we're going to do it anyway.
I am going to do a big view of the palette for when you put some color on. I think the people will enjoy that. It's very satisfying putting acrylic paint onto a palette. Like
very satisfying.
Obviously, the model paint that we have, but the expert acrylics, putting it on the palette just gives that kind of
super
makes
duper
you feel
satisfying.
Makes you feel like a true artist.
Like a true artist.
And I say that with my fist pumped in the air. A true
As
artist.
As you should, Chris. As you should.
Walk us through what you're doing.
Put out a little yellow. Because we're working in the space of browns and such. So I'll do some primary yellow.
Ooh.
I'll do some nickel azo yellow.
Ooh.
I will do some burnt umber.
Ooh. Yes. Bryro. Got it in two different places.
I'll do some sepia.
Sepia.
I'll, of course, do some titanium white.
Now, how much paint do you typically put out when you're doing this? Because you can use
Just a little
Just
dollop.
a little
You
bit.
don't need a whole lot. It'll skin over, right? So you don't want to put out a ton.
Okay.
But, you know, you give yourself just enough to pooch. Now, what some people will do is they'll even just squeeze the paint up to the top and take some out of their brush and put it on the palette. So you don't get too much. Depends on if you're doing detail work or what. Some black, carbon black, and then some Payne's gray.
Payne's, that's the one I'm very excited to see.
This is where we're going to start and see how it goes.
Can you bring the palette down just a touch?
No.
Pretty please for there it is.
No.
Look how perfect that is.
No.
Come on, baby.
Well, that's almost unusable, Chris, because that's where it stays.
Oh, that's fine right there. I can move it back out.
I'll try to figure it out.
There you go. That's good.
All right. Polka dog. All right, so the last thing we were doing, we were actually using, I think, some of the burnt umber by itself, right, of the liquid ProCurls. So for that, I might need a little bit of red. Oh, no, we're just going to go with this like this. I'm just going to grab a little bit of the umber here. And I'm going to add to it a little bit of our yellow. This is going to move all over the place because it's not butted up against anything. So I'll try my best here, Chad.
I can also make it a little bit.
There we go.
That's good. Calibrate. Calibrate focus. I had to fix that from last week. Oh. There we go. Very nice.
And then we're just back to lots and lots of stipples here.
Mm-hmm. Where's the purple my eyes are going? No avian. Chat, the Killjoy saying, is there some reason you don't use
closer?
a wet palette?
The kind of painting that I'm doing is going to be
really tight.
I don't like them. They don't add any value to my painting process. I wind up spending an inordinate amount of time managing the moisture on the palette rather than actually painting. They drive me bananas. They're made for watercolor. And so if you, in a traditional sense, they're made for watercolor, regardless of what anybody tells you, that's the truth. So liquid acrylics, and when I say watercolor, they're made for watercolor paste, like gouache, that type of watercolor. And as you use other things like acrylics on them, you don't necessarily get the functionality that they're stating you'll get. And the funny thing is, the real palette manufacturers don't say that they'll do what people expect them to do.
The wet palette, you
the
mean?
Wet palette,
Okay.
like Masterson or whatever it is, Masterson wet palette. They don't claim that it will just keep all of your acrylics. At least I don't think so. Maybe they've started to now.
Okay, I see.
But they don't traditionally do that because it just isn't what it does. It can't work miracles. It's not a technology that works very well because it can't control the amount of water that goes through the membrane into the paint. It can't match the water that is evaporated out some magical way. And so it just winds up being a trouble point for me, especially in Arizona where the corners dry and curl up all the time, and it just drives me bananas.
Yeah. Avian question: the new brushes, how do they hold their point for stippling? He's using one right now.
I'm using them. They will deflect. They're a cheaper synthetic, which is why I don't care, because I'm using them for stippling and I'm beating them up and throw them in the garbage if I need to. They will do a model like this, no problem.
I was painting this weekend with them.
How'd you enjoy it?
I really enjoyed them. I've also been, in general, have had way less of a heavy hand when I'm painting.
Watching your stroke.
Yeah, really actually saying like, okay, I don't need to be this aggressive with the brush right now. I can just basically, I don't need to jam it, right? So just going a little bit slower. So they are definitely great.
Now, for what I'm doing right now, a wet palette, back to that previous one, a wet palette would help me because I am, mixing out into a big broad area on the palette for my color. It would probably help allow that particular spot of color on the palette to be usable longer than it's going to here, because anytime you flatten your paint out over a broad space like that, it dries a lot quicker. Because the evaporation takes place a lot quicker with that much air surface touching that limited amount of paint. So, there are times when a wet palette does great wonders for you, but not enough for me to inject it into my process.
Derpstick asking, what color are you stippling onto right now?
Yes.
No, I'm sorry. Not onto. What's the color you're stippling on?
Again, yes. You guys have got to watch, because right now we're using the heavy bodies, and what I'm doing is I'm mixing colors, and this is our umber.
Umber.
Right? Yep. So this is our burnt umber.
Mm-hmm.
With primary yellow and white is this color that I'm getting here.
Star Trek, and I can answer this. What type of palette do you use or then or suggest? Jason uses the glass palette typically, or he'll use like Gray Matters paper, palette paper, essentially, right?
That's what I'm using right now is the Gray Matters palette paper, yeah. Big fan. And underneath it we have a gray piece of glass that's super dirty. That Chris didn't have the scream ready for.
The what?
The scream button.
Oh, no,
normally
that's a piece of
the
art.
Scream right there.
It's the Sarlacc pit that gets the scream.
Oh, I thought the palette got it too.
No, the palette's kind of an art piece now.
So the stippling adds that kind of grainy flesh texture to the leather is the goal, right?
Little Billy, sell me the dirty paper. My life is yours. Yikes.
Yes. How much money you got?
Red Spartan. Next week will be end of the week or the beginning of the week. We'll be launching heavy bodies. Jason, I was trying to remember. I think we were talking about.
Well, I mean, yeah. As soon as we'll let you know as soon as we've got it. The marketing team still has to get their story straight and do some work, but I think we're gonna see them on the store into next week. I could see maybe pushing that till the following week, but it really just depends. We'll see where we sit a week from today, and we'll let you know.
Dripstick, could you make that mix with your regular white, warm yellow, and burnt umber?
No, the burnt umber that we have in the ProCurl line on the liquids is more red. So it'll give you a different tone. Yeah, unfortunately, what I'm mixing here, we'll talk a little bit about it if people have a lot of questions, but I won't be spending a lot of time on what we do with ProCurl to achieve these same colors. The whole point of this is showing you the blending of these. Now, you should be able to say, so on this, I would take dark umber and golden yellow, right? Or, yeah, probably golden yellow, and then titanium white, and you could get there. But
oh, that's great.
Not everything that I'm doing here will have a binary in the normal ProCurl. Because, like, we don't have nickel azo yellow in ProCurl liquid, so there'll be a little bit of difference.
Oh, yeah, you can see that stipple come out just right underneath there. That looks great.
Well, yeah, anytime you're
that's great.
Moving brighter and brighter is, like I said on Friday, you wind up getting to a point where now the texture becomes more and more visible. So a lot of people don't stipple until like this color, right, where they have some brightness going on, because they feel like, well, why would I stipple before I can really see it? And the reason is that you want to go ahead and build those textures up, because now the contrast you're building is with the other dots on the leather, right? So you're seeing a lot more than just the coloring I'm putting on. It starts to reveal the pattern, so to speak.
Also, Brutal Burrito, thank you so much for that sub, 13 months, and Flapjack with 10 months. Thank you so much for those subs. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
See that hair? Can you see that?
Yeah.
That hair that's all deflected out there. I've been beating these brushes up.
Flapjack, we're glad to have you. It's not all for me. It's all for you, chat. We do this for you. We love you and appreciate you. Isn't that right, Jason?
He puts me on the spot like this.
I said, isn't that right, Jason?
I'm literally just over here painting. I feel like the right answer is yes.
I said, isn't that right?
I feel like the right answer should be yes. But this is chat we're talking about.
They're good people.
There's something.
The amazing sauce. I'm Mexican and can't find a good tutorial anywhere on how to paint my brown skin color. We have a couple. If you check out our shorts, we have a couple. Might help. We have a dark skin tone. Going off of. Check out our shorts. We have a couple in there that you might like. Listen here, Chris. This is no way to talk about your. Whoa, little Billy. He is not my mom or my dad.
Whoa.
Whoa. There's good people on both sides of this stream. That's right, Sugar Rush.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I don't know how Chris and I got to be familial all of a sudden. That ain't the way that works.
A familial. Hey, welcome in, Wad. Little Billy says, Mama Fuse Reigns. Oh, because I see. I understand what you're trying to do, Little Billy. Your band.
Your band.
That's it. I have spoken. Gabe, Chris is not good people? What?
He's iffy.
Me?
I think is the way we call that.
What are you talking about?
It's iffy. It's kind of like,
I'm iffy.
It's kind of like.
You know what?
What?
Here's the people. Right here, right in front of us. Here they are. Here's the people. Here's my thoughts. Here's what we the people want. Here. We want Monument Hobbies to just love us and appreciate us. That's it, Jason. That's all we want.
That's all we want?
Will Monument do that for us?
I want that. I want Monument
It's happening
to love
already.
Me.
Hey, it's already happening. Sorry, I might have had a small stroke there. Welcome in, everybody. If you're just now tuning in, we are so glad you're here. And we are so happy that you've chosen Monument Hobby Stream to watch today. We are demoing some of our heavy body acrylics, our expert acrylics that will be coming out next week. So if you have any questions, you can see the palette up in the corner where he's mixing. Please feel free to ask any questions about them. And Jason will so gladly be able to answer all of your questions.
That's give me a lot of credit, but okay.
Oh, I will. I'll give credit where credit is due. You heard that here. Chris is pretty darn questionable. Sarcastic Grandpa, what? Depends on the day. What?
Chris, they do know you, by the way. They've been here before.
You don't know me.
These people. These wonderful people you speak of. They've been here.
These people?
Yeah.
They're good people.
They've been here before. They've hung out. They've seen the way you've treated people. Me being the main person, right? I just want to have you recognize that.
I see. I see what you're trying to do. And I understand. And I appreciate you.
No, you don't.
What? False.
No, you don't.
False. Take it all back.
No, you false. I take it all back.
That leather's looking really good.
Why, thank you.
Really encourages me to try stippling. Hopefully it's getting you to think about this, chat. Now I'm like, well, I should probably do stippling more. I don't do often.
It takes a lot of time, but it gives a really good way to, number one, blend, right? One of the things we're not thinking about is how it creates blends for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Now, would you go over this afterwards with like a glaze or a filter?
I'm going to.
Oh.
Yes. Yes.
Now that whole thing is leather down there? Okay, I'm understanding now.
That's the way I'm painting it. I think that people could mistake this for having been some form of like metalish
That trim right there? Yeah,
trim.
I guess so, yeah.
But the problem with that is that it doesn't have the normal material construction of metal. It doesn't have hard edges. Even though it has this kind of trim to it, the trim rolls up into the fabric. It doesn't have a hard edge. So I don't want to say that that's a sculpt problem, because a sculptor is obviously very adept, does great work. So I'm going to err on the side of it being leather. It would also flex like it's doing along the trunk of her torso, whereas metal wouldn't flex like this.
I wish there was a painted version on their marketing for it a little bit. It would have been kind of nice.
Yeah.
Just to give us like an idea.
Yeah, that's what I had said, is that it would be nice to have like just a artist rendition of what the finished product was intended to be viewed like. Mm-hmm. Most of them have it, and I didn't even think about it. You know, when I was buying it, I was like, whatever.
Ooh, look at that from that angle too. I can really start to see how the light on that chest piece.
Yeah.
That's looking great.
Thank you.
Hey, you're all right, man. Has everybody ever told you that?
No. Thank you, though.
Okay.
I do appreciate it. Means the world to me, Chris.
Does it? Oh, there it is. There's the look. Gosh darn it. Got the look. Little Billy says, as far as I'm concerned, this is the correct painted rendition. That's true. This might now be what it is. Oh, it goes all the way up to her neck too. Nice. Okay.
Well, I'm treating this collar piece like it is. It
makes sense.
As well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it has kind of a harness feel to it, because the brassiere that's here is strapped onto the neck piece.
Nice.
You know, it all made sense if that was skin.
Yep.
But then it wouldn't have this rolled edge here by the armpit, right? So it's definitely not skin. It's just like, it's this harness breastplate.
Uh-huh.
It's a very interesting design.
It's cool.
Yeah, it's a very interesting design. I'm not mad at it. I've just had to work to understand it, is the way I will say that. Again, burnt umber, primary yellow, white. Gives me a good tan. Creates kind of almost like a khaki. Very similar to our khaki, not quite as yellow. And a hair brighter.
So, can you talk a little bit about the water consistency on your brush with heavy bodies? Because you don't use a lot of water.
More water than I would from, the same in our liquid line. Only because I've got to have it go from a more solid state. It's not solid, but it is definitely more viscous, right? Thicker as a paste acrylic than a liquid right out of the bottle. So I've got to at first come up with a method to get it flowing better. So I use more water on the brush, and then adjust as necessary once I see how it's coming off the tip. Because for something like stippling, you have to be careful. You don't want it too liquid in the first place. because it will cause you problems if every dot you put starts to spread out if it's too thin, right? And if the dots all spread out, then you wind up with all sorts of weird, blotchy texturing that can be cool. It can be one of those, happy little accident kind of cool. It can also be really annoying because it doesn't give you the texture you were looking for. So here, that's the deal. Like, you'll notice sometimes I'll go and start wanting to stipple, but I won't get any dots because I'm leaving it too thick on accident. And I'll go back to the paint and readdress that.
Chuck, we are, for the texture tubes are coming soon, but you should be able to get textures on the website now.
Yeah, the texture paints are back in stock in the pots.
The jars for now, yep.
But we hope to have the tubes in a month or so. Maybe shorter.
Killjoy, great question. Can you explain the cases where heavy body is preferred to liquid acrylics? Preferred.
Glazing. I think you're always better to do your glazes with heavy bodies because they just naturally are in that more translucent state because of, if you're using single pigment or, single pigment blended hues, then you just wind up with a paint that's already easier to deal with. Plus, they have more pigmentation per volume, even when you're diluting them to glaze. So they're more translucent, more like our transparent paints. You add water to them to get them to flow the way you want there, and then you're really only spending 1 or 2 coats of glazing to get where you need. Now, that takes some learning. It's not a magic bullet. It's not like you're going to grab the tube paints and be a master glazer right out of the gates. You still need to understand how to glaze. So I think it's a process of learning. But you could even take like our glaze wash medium, use that as your dilution agent with the paste acrylics, and they're going to probably be a little thicker than you want them that way. But you can play with them. Glazing, I think, is really where they start to show their initial strengths. The ability to mix is fantastic. Our normal paints also have that because they're basically these same paints just in a liquid form. So the pigment is exactly what you expect it to be when you mix, as opposed to a lot of companies' paints that start graying out and getting a little bit desaturated because they're not true to hue pigment blends to begin with, where all the ProCurl already is. So these will just continue to give you the kind of blending that you're used to with our normal line of paints. You get the color you expect when you mix them, which is huge. A lot of people underestimate that. Obviously, people that come from a standpoint of wanting to mix more of their colors will really appreciate that. But even normal, you and me style painters who just come at the wanting to get my army done mentality will appreciate it. We get from new painters all the time, we just get that, the comment that is most prevalent in our social media and customer service is that I don't know what it is. I picked up your paint. It just makes painting so much fun. As a beginner, I really appreciate it. They don't even know what it is about the paint. It's just that it just works. And so these are the same thing. They just work. This is kind of like, I call it getting back to the source. This is the source of everything ProCurl, is these colors, undiluted. But glazing, filtering, things like that, they work great for. I mean, as you see, they're doing wonders here just with the stippling. Even when I'm not filtering, when I'm using them stippling is something where I need more opacity right out of the gates, and they work like a champ.
D-Fresh is asking, just received my brush-on primer. Would you recommend 2 coats, or is 1 enough?
Depends. If it's a light colored model, like I think online or on the stream here, I kind of use the Marvel United models to do them, the little chibi Marvel models. And I know on a couple of those that it took like 2 coats because the color of the model showed through. They're in those colored plastics, red and blue or whatever. And so, I would recommend, if you can still see the gray, then do another coat. But you can also get it done in 1 coat. It's just going to be up to you. After you put that coat on, what does it look like?
Yeah, I've found that I take my big number 6 brush and really slop it on there, and it works out great.
Yeah, it levels really nicely.
Yes.
It's the wrong term, but that's the term everybody recognizes is self-leveling. It isn't, because you can't self-level on a vertical surface, which models are, but it lays flat is the way we talk about it. Lays super flat so that it won't obscure details, so you can really pump it on the model, like Chris said, with like a number 6 heavy-duty brush.
Yeah, the first time I used it, right, just as when we got it here in the office, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. It works great. So when you're stippling, Derpstick, how much paint do you take off of the brush when stippling, or do you keep a lot on there?
I mean, no, it's kind of the same I do for everything.
Mm-hmm.
The big thing is forming a nice point and making sure that the paint is flowing correctly. But I come over here and get paint on it, and then I take it off the same way I would with anything else. I wipe it on my thumb palette 2 or 3 times. That probably wasn't enough because the paint was fairly dry on the palette, so I'm not going to get a whole lot here, but yeah.
Conforms to the model. Yeah, I would say that, D-Fresh, about the brush on. Conforms?
Yeah, I mean, we just say it lays flat. It lays
great.
really flat, does not have a dimension to it, so that you're going to get a really good level, non-detail obscuring final coat. It does what you want it to do.
This will be these expert acrylics will be a really cool tool to practice mixing too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's just like I'm watching you mix and I'm like, oh, I just want to put them on a palette and try out some different colors. Yes, D-Fresh. Grab it while you can. It's good stuff. That brush on primer is dope. I know it's a clean palette. Isn't that great, everybody? Yes. Yes, it is a clean palette. I requested it of Jason, and we had a conversation, and he said, absolutely, Chris. Do. Here's the new clean palette for you.
Those of you that have been here on the stream for years, you know that do is definitely my signature statement.
It really is. I don't think I've ever said good morning to Jason without a do. Good morning, everybody. He comes in skipping,
That sounds exactly like me.
I'm just saying. Yes, you got to try them out. They're be coming out next week. Our new expert acrylics, our heavy bodies. Almost as much as you're fired, Chris. Yes, little Billy. That's almost.
Chad, I'm turning a new leaf. I've only fired one person today.
You're turning a new leaf. What does that mean?
Yeah, I've only fired one person today, and I have refrained from firing Chris so far in the stream. I did fire Mally today.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I introduced him to that whole situation.
From across the pond?
I fired our new European office manager.
Well, that was short-lived. Well.
He goes, you haven't even hired me yet. I said, well, then you're pre-fired. He said he didn't like cheese.
Fired.
Right?
Instant.
I turned him over to human resources, so we'll see how that goes.
You had to leave the room, probably.
Yeah.
I can't do this right now.
I can't do this right now.
Fired, yes. Day's still not over. I'm all right. I'm doing pretty good today.
He was talking about what you eat with French fries, or he calls them chips because he's an alien. But he said what he was talking about his kids and giving him options because he's in control of the children this week, and his wife is out of town. And I was like, oh, they're in control. Are they going to survive? And he goes, oh, I think they're going to love it. I've given them the option to tell me each night what they would like with their chips as a side dish. And I said, oh, they get a choice. I was like, is there a food do you have to have anything with your French fries? That seems odd. And so we had this whole back and forth, going on. And he said, well, how do you like them? And I said, well, my favorite is jalapeno bacon and cheese.
That's what he said.
No, that's what I said.
That's what you said. Okay.
That's what I said. And he goes, I don't like cheese. And I was like, fired. And then the whole story. Then it all took place. He goes, well, you haven't even hired me yet. I said, well, you're pre-fired. So, Chad, I'm trying to be nice, but they won't let me.
Pikmin for Horror says, Jason Malley is an awesome dude, cheese thing notwithstanding, and a good friend of mine.
What is going on, my man?
That's fun.
Malley is an awesome dude. He's fired.
Welcome to the crew. Not officially a part of Monument until you've been fired. What I was told.
Also true. Also true. Not officially, at least.
Not officially. Fired for no cheese. Yep, that's right, little Billy.
Well, we've turned it over to HR for review.
Okay.
HR has to make sure that we're doing it by the books. It is in Europe, so Europe's a little wonky. We got to make sure we can fire for cause, and that cause can be does not like cheese. Or if there's probably what's really going to happen is that there's a sensitivity training in Europe that's going to help him find that cheese is actually good.
I have cause.
He's going to find that cheese is actually good.
That line from The Office.
And change his tune.
You have to have cause, Michael. I have cause. It's because I hate him. Oh, well, that's cool. I'm glad you fired him, I guess.
Damn.
I don't know. I'm just part of the crew. Part of the ship, part of the crew. You gotta get fired once out there.
Damn, Chris.
Damn. Wad has a very deep question. If someone doesn't like cheese, can they be trusted? I don't know, Wad. I don't know.
I think that it's no is just the end. Let's just stop trying to play nice. Let's stop. Let's say it like it is.
All right. Let's also here. Let's help Derpstick here. Rewinded the stream a bit so you would have more water on your brush if you're going to do stippling ?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. You're going to be expecting the paint to flow pretty well. You know, remember you're starting from a paint that is already in a paste form, so it's has a higher viscosity than the liquid acrylics you're used to. And so in order to have that paint get to a point where you can stipple with it, and stipple in a fine detailed sense like I'm doing here. These dots are teeny weeny, right? Weeny teenies.
I'm sorry, that is a scientific term for you in the back. Teeny weeny dots. That's how you stipple.
Deets and doots.
Teeny weeny deets and doots. That is the name of our band here at Monument. Teeny weeny deets and doots.
No, our band is Involuntary Anus.
Oh, right. Oh, great. I always love that one. That's just a word salad I don't appreciate sometimes. No, Chris, it's actually Involuntary Anus.
Yeah,
perfect.
Geez, Chris, get the name right.
Hey, speaking of questions from Twisty Farmer, here's a question from Twisty Farmer. Will the new paint line be a part of the retail racks or just online?
Both. Yeah, both, Twisty. Initially, it will just be online because we do not have the new retail rack. The timing is just bad on this. Part of it is because of the whole tariff thing. Our new retail racks are being done offshore, so that's obviously been a big hit. But we should get that sample here real soon for the new retail display. And then once we get through the approval of the sample and then production should start, we should have them pretty quick. So by mid-year, we're hoping that by the end of Q2, we have racks stateside, and then all of the heavy bodies will be able to be put on the rack. Stores can get them prior to that. They just won't have a way to display them. So unfortunate.
Bellacore saying, do you have a plasma or plus OSL tutorial? I don't think, not specifically a plasma gun and OSL.
We have tutorials about OSL.
We do.
Not doing a plasma gun, I don't think. There's a bunch of really good ones out there, though.
Want to try out those new brushes?
I don't know if we're going to LVO in October. I have a call with them tomorrow.
You'll have to get some Pikmin. They're awesome. I just used them this weekend, painting my Gargans.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going. They have been they just now are reaching out to vendors, and I'm like, that's October, dude. Like, we plan our entire budget for the year last year.
Yeah, and then there's another
for
one.
you to do 2 shows with no announcement is tough on us.
Yeah. Yes, Wood Derpstick said Belcourt. Baby J, when was that? That was on hold. On April 22nd, he did an OSL with a lightsaber. That might help. Gives you kind of an OSL.
All right, boys and girls.
All right.
Black.
Now, what would you use? Oh, I guess I see what you're saying. Oh. What mix you doing there, Jason?
A little bit umber, a little bit of black.
Oh. Okay. Oh. Oh, you're doing some stippling. A punch in there for you. Okay, so you're just putting some shadows back in.
I'm moving the leather into kind of a deeper brown black kind of mode.
Yeah.
By doing some glazing with the brown and the black here.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just kind of stipple it on in some cases and do a traditional brushstroke in others. Play around with it, see what we like.
Of course, yes. These technically would be called boob dudes, I guess. Only gonna say that once, so you're welcome.
Sinjin, Mr. Pickman there, is a fantastic artist. Does some great bust work. So see, I'll take this down to where it's kind of almost just a gray brown glaze wash like that. And that darkens up a lot of that brown on the portion of the chest plate that is the actual breastplate part.
Orky Fish, I still need to watch Airplane. Yes, you do.
Greatest movie of all time. Well, there's a lot of them then.
That one's up there.
There's a lot of greatest movies of all time if Airplane's one, but it is definitely one of the amazing comedies of that age, 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Irreverent comedy. It's like all the Mel Brooks stuff, Blazing Saddles.
Yep.
If there's a movie that you look at and you say, well, they couldn't do that these days,
it's probably Mel Brooks.
It's probably Mel Brooks, and definitely going to be up there in value add for a true comedy, but not as socially responsible as people want them to be these days.
Yeah, that's true. Chuck says, I noticed my hobby nerd cutting mat got warped and banana flayed. Oh, I see. Is there a reliable way to flatten it back out?
Where did you have it?
Did you
in the heat? I want to get a good understanding, because you could just heat it up with a hairdryer.
Yeah, that, or you know what I've done? We're blessed here in Arizona. I've thrown it outside for a little bit.
Put it on the dash of your car.
Yes, 100%.
In the sun. Let it get that.
Could you put it in the oven?
I would not.
Okay.
I would. There's no reason. You can just heat it up with a heat gun or an air dryer.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe try put it in a definitely want to put it out in the sun. Chuck says hair dryer it is. Yeah, give that a whirl, Chuck.
You just want to get it to where it's
like any other cutting mat. Like you can just
hot enough that you can bend it back to flat and then put like books on it or something. Put something weighty on it. Get you where you want to be.
Nerve stick, nice. The way the leather looks is exactly what I was imagining when I was asking about painting the distressed leather last week. Definitely going to try this workup with the tube acrylics. Nice.
Oh, very cool.
Now, Payne's Gray. I can't wait to see. Can't wait to see what Payne's Gray does, or how it. I love that color anyway. Jabe says you should test it in the oven, Chris. Then come back and tell us how it went. Jabe.
I don't think he's your friend.
Gabe. Let me
go on a limb, Aaron.
You know what? I'm gonna choose not violence today, Gabe.
Whoa! Big steps.
I hear you.
Big steps from Chris today, chat.
I hear you, and you're a good person.
Whoa!
What else is the teleprompter?
Where is Chris?
What else does the teleprompter say?
You're a good
person. You're okay. You're a cool guy.
Gabe, we have a problem.
No, Gabe's a good guy. He does good work.
Gabe, we have a problem. Somebody stole Chris.
No, I'm here.
I don't know what's going on.
I've decided to turn a new leaf today, chat. As of right now, I am a new man, and I am here to win.
That doesn't sound right at all.
Well, I was here to win before I became a new man, but regardless, I'm a new man. I am choosing to be more kind, chat.
That doesn't sound right at all. How about you guys?
I am a nice man. Okay?
Chris is a pod person.
That's funny. Chris off and back on. Hey, Panic Bomb. Beep boop. I've reset. Maybe that's what did it, Panic Bomb. I just needed to be reset, as the kids say.
The kids don't say that.
The kids are saying it a lot nowadays. They're going, yo, 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 what up? Let's reset Chris.
That's not what Chris, that's not what the kids are saying.
Some palette enthusiast says, what is the situation with the new dotless brushes and them coming across the pond? Are we just waiting for them to get here?
I love how he
when you say across the pond, you're inviting me to do.
I love how he just added that.
You're across the pond. Okay, well,
Yeah, there's no reason why they can't. I would have to talk to Jacob in charge of our distribution channel and see if they've announced it to distribution for ordering. They are not available to distributors in the U.S. Currently, so there's that.
Ooh, impending Duff. 71 months. What's up, man?
Come on, Duff.
No, this is not done with finger painting.
That part comes later.
Yes, I got to get my firmware updated. I'm giving Gabe compliments. Pretty soon I'll be telling Jason that I'm not painting this model with him. This is it.
Oh, geez.
This is the end. My final stretch. Yeah. How much do I have to donate for Jason to lick this model? Says Monument Phillip. Many thousands of dollars.
To do what?
To lick this model? Phillip, where are you coming from right now? Source says, will you start paint and or brush production in the EU too? ?
No, not initially. That's not our goal. It is just a sales and marketing branch. Customer service, sales, marketing, distribution. That's all we're looking to do there. For those of you who don't know, we are opening up Monument EU. You will, if you're over the pond in that area of the world, you'll be able to buy direct from Monument Hobbies in the EU. We have the website and all that will should be really cool.
Philip says, just dropping in to add some chaos, then going back to work. Well, well, well.
Well.
Interesting that you would do that to our professional business win-win stream. Like it. But I did say I am a new man today.
So he's not going to be mean to you. Well, that's what he's saying there.
I'm not a mean person. Question mark? I threw a question mark. I'm not a mean person. I just hate everybody. There you go.
Said it. Live on stream.
Okay. Wait a minute. Monument Philip. Papa Chicken says, did you leave your computer unlocked? And is this actually Gabe? Philip says, it's me. I'm definitely Phil, not Gabe. Beep boop.
Beep boop.
Yeah. Yes, I'm a very good person. There you go. That sounded like a bless your heart.
Bless your heart.
Hey, you know what I have to do? I'm getting this back on the tracks. Welcome in, everybody. If you're just now tuning in, welcome. This is Monument Hobbies. We are Monument Hobbies. That's Monument Hobbies. This is Monument Hobbies. We are Monument Hobbies. Thank you for choosing us on this beautiful, fine, fun day equals Monday day. Am I right? We are using some of our new expert acrylics that will be coming out next week. Stay tuned. If you have any questions about our heavy body acrylics, this is the time to ask. As Jason shows you the fine... Oh, what is this workup?
This is some nickel azo. Some nickel azo and black.
Okay.
Again, more water on the brush. That very apt comment from chat earlier. You need to have lots of moisture on your brush to get the paint flowing in ways that you want a lot of times. And I'm going to start just working shadows. Remember, the whole goal here with the way we did this was to give us a basis for showing you how I might go about painting a model with both liquid ProCurl and then where and how I would integrate the expert acrylics in with it. And in this case, base coating with some colors that I thought would be a good starting point. And then coming back and using the expert acrylics, the paste acrylics, in a way to filter color first, but also be able to use them to, do final detailing over those filters and such is very good.
Ooh, this is a good question. Blood Walrus. I'm struggling to understand the concept a bit. Is it accurate to say that the pigment load of the heavy body paints makes the glazes you make more intense but still transparent?
100%. That's the whole key, right? The reason that they're better for glazing is you start off with way more pigment by volume because you're not working with a dilution, right? No matter how we want to cook it, liquid paints are diluted, right? They do not have the full intensity of what the pigment can offer because they're watered down. Now, they're done so in a way that, makes them still vibrant and intense, but they're already diluted. And so when we go to do things like glazing, we wind up diluting them further, right? And that can then cause a struggle with how you maintain your glaze, how quickly you can get your glaze done. Whereas when you start with the heavy-bodied acrylics and you start into glazing, then your color is applied in one, maybe two coats.
And Impending Dove's asking, how many will be in the initial release?
16 colors.
Thick Daddy paints. Oh my gosh.
That's what they're called. ProCurl Thick Daddy. But yeah, 16 colors.
Nice. Can you show me where the area you're stippling is not her skin? Well, if you see it, you can see essentially that greenish, that's where the skin is not, essentially. There's a lot of leather on this thing. If you look at the whole model from how Jason's painting it, there's a lot of leather. There's not much skin, Christy, so... Okay, Boo-Ray, you only get one of those. That's funny. More like nipple azo for the looks of it. Oh my. I don't like that. That's funny. I'll give you one. You only get one of those, Boo-Ray.
Get one.
I'm not saying it again, but good job. Bellicor. So it's essentially bag acryl, kind of.
Is that how Chris sold you bag acryl? Is that how he sold you on it?
Same concept, but bag acryl just has way more pigment. These are facts. Did you say Chris sold you? No.
Well, he's just not getting it, Chet. Sorry.
Oh no,
It's a slight delay on that one, Chet. Joke bomb.
Yes, 1,000% more pigment in bag acryl. Correct. Yes, absolutely. Christy, absolutely. You're very welcome.
This color is really, really good. It's giving me like a really dark, kind of grayish green.
Mm-hmm.
Once I get again, this is carbon black and Nicolazo yellow.
And Finn saying, can you still get the same vibrancy with liquid paint just with more coats? Or is it impossible to reach the same vibrancy as the heavy bodies?
Well, when glazing, the problem with diluting an already diluted paint is that you don't, and a lot of people struggle with this when glazing with liquid acrylics. You wind up in a situation where you never get to full vibrancy. You get very desaturated coloring on your model if you do like 15 layers, right? And a lot of people do this, and it gives you a very, very desaturated palette. Not a lot of color. And that might not be what you want. For military models, sometimes that's what you want, right? A very desaturated palette can look great, right? Browns, greens, this kind of palette right here, it wouldn't matter if it was desaturated. The problem is saturation counts for a lot of different things. Vibrancy we talk about, and we tend to make that into a story of bright colors. Well, vibrancy is also like, can you have a vibrant black? Sure, if you put on one coat and it's the black you need, technically that got you the vibrancy of black. I don't know that people talk that way, but the intensity of the color is really what I'm relating to. And so anytime you pick up, say, a standard yellow, you're going to want it to act like yellow until you mix it with something else, right? Or you dilute it so much that it just gives you a slight filter of that yellow, but you're still looking for that yellow color. So if by diluting it, I'm reducing the amount of pigment that goes on the model, and then I'm building that pigment up time after time after time after time after time, you'll never get back to its true density no matter what you do. I guess you could glaze 1,000,000 times on it and maybe find that, but you'd give up way before that. So, the heavy bodies allow you to dilute, get the glaze, get the color that you wanted at the intensity you want very quickly, and move on.
This is going off that same question. I'm just realizing that I always thin my glazes to a certain pigment density and viscosity. Is there any reason why you couldn't get a good glaze even though the paint isn't viscous like water?
You're throwing me here, Papa Chicken. You're realizing that you always thin your glazes to a certain point. Is there any reason why you couldn't get a good glaze even though the paint isn't thin? Is that what you're saying? Because viscous like water is low viscosity. So, right? So you're not very viscous if you're flowing like water. Is there why you couldn't get a good glaze even if it's not thin and flowing? And the answer is it depends. Our glaze wash medium is more viscous. It's more like the paint. So it will dilute opacity, but keep viscosity on the same level that you want it and allow you to paint with a filter that is a thicker paint. So yes, could you do that same thing here? Sure. You could put in a thicker medium to dilute it, right? To thin its opacity. So it's confusing because we talk about thinning in two ways, and it drives people nuts. It drives me nuts too. We say, oh, you got to thin your paints. What are they talking about? Because with other hobby paints, you got to thin them because they're too thick out of the bottle. And if you paint with them the way they come out of the bottle, they'll leave brush strokes and they don't level very well. And you get clumpy paint and it fills details. So you thin them to use them. That's not with with our paints. No, they come out of the bottle ready to use. You can just put them on the model, right? You thin them for opacity because in painting three-dimensional sculpts, a lot of times what we're doing is layering paints one after the other and wanting to see those layers, so opacity counts, right? You're not always going for pure opaque paint. Usually on base layers, you want a more opaque paint. But once you start getting to highlights, you generally don't want an opaque paint because you want the highlight to blend with the subsurface, and that's easier when it's less opaque. So thinning for opacity is what you'll hear me talk about most of the time here. Thinning for viscosity sometimes is included in that if we're glazing, because all of the paints are going to get to lower viscosity the way I paint, because I use water as my thinner and my medium. And when you do that, the paint becomes closer to water the more water you add. But you can use the glaze wash medium and you still are diluting for or thinning for opacity like I'm talking about, but you're not diluting the viscosity. Does that make sense? So there's no reason why you can't glaze with a thicker paint. You just have to have used a thicker, clear medium to lower its opacity with. That's literally all it is. Can you punch in real quick?
Yeah. If my glaze was viscous like paint, would it work just fine?
Sure.
Yeah. I think so.
You're going to find that you want lower viscosity with filters most of the time. And the reason for that is because you can move them on the surface of the model easier when they're not thick. Okay? That's just the facts. So even with the glaze wash medium, it keeps the paint thick like paint, but you're still going to use a lot of water on your brush so that when the paint flows off of your brush, it covers more area, goes where you want it, right? You'll just get a feel for it. But some people, that feel of thicker paint is what you want, and that's fine. You can still get see-through paint that is thick, is really the question you're asking.
This is a good question from Tech Elf.
Northrack says, I'll trust this link and all the information contained with it.
Yes, that's all the bag of krill information you're going to need, Northrex.
Not try to find a workaround, but what's the difference between your heavy bodies and, say, an artist paint from the art store? Okay, so this is a quality thing, right? Matte finish, which you're not going to find from the art paints from the art store, they're all satin. Because canvas painters aren't looking for matte paints. So you're going to get matte finish like all of our paints. You're going to get better paints. I mean, just to be honest, and yes, my ego talks here too. We don't do anything that we don't feel like is the best. But I would put our ProCurl Expert Series paints up against the highest end Windsors and Schminkies and anything. We got them beat, hands down. So they lay flatter, so very, very smooth. So you can use them without having to play around with them on the palette so much. All the things that we love about ProCurl that we were able to put in a acrylic that is a paste acrylic that gives you more density of pigment than you'll find anywhere else. So able to be flexible enough to use however you want. Although I never try to tell people to use paste acrylics for airbrushing. It's just too much it's just too much work. Use the liquid acrylics for that. And use the liquid acrylics for basing, because we formulate those to be more opaque in most situations, whereas most of these are semi-translucent, translucent. There are opaques like the titanium white and the carbon black. But a lot of these are various levels of opacity because they're single pigment and blended hues. So they're going to be made out of no opacifiers in them at all. You're getting the raw base pigment. And a lot of pigments are just, whether they're synthetic or not, are see-through. So you're going to have to deal with that. Don't you know, don't you know?
Don't you know?
I think you know.
Do you, Jason?
I think they know.
I really like that that color right there, that greenish, brownish color that you came up with.
Yeah, that nickel azo with black gives a really neat green.
That's really cool.
I need a color I don't have out here. Pyro orange.
I was shooting. Northrex says, speaking of airbrush, I was shooting a bunch of PA paint this weekend. I was shocked how little I could get away with thinning them. Yep, hype is real. Absolutely.
You see me on stream all the time. My base coats I don't even thin.
Yep.
I just spray them. And they're not airbrush paints. We don't market them that way. We say you should thin them. Not every climate would be able to do what I do with them.
But you just add like a little water sometimes.
Usually glaze wash medium and a little bit of water.
A little bit of water. Yeah. And there are no scientific numbers for that. There's skeetsage and scooches and all of that. So
deets and doots.
Deets and doots.
Baby deets and doots. So I'm going to make kind of
it's like a warm brown going on.
Yeah, like here. A sienna almost. It's like trying to recreate what we do with transparent brown, but a little brighter. Right, so I can get something like that.
Mm-hmm. You come down a little bit. Perfect.
Is that good?
Yep. Ooh, yeah.
The fun thing for me about leather in general is that it has a kind of a story to tell in the coloration. You know, it gets stuff spilled on it. You know, whether it's food, drink, blood,
Yeah.
whatever.
It gets stained.
Stained oils from skin.
Yep.
The dirty hands pulling the leather gloves on and off or rubbing them on leather pants. So there's all sorts of cool stuff you can do color-wise to create this story of use and abuse. And no more so than on, fantasy models where you have all sorts of crazy things you can imagine happening. And so I can take this blended kind of orangey brown and stipple it or drag it over the highlights, do whatever I want.
Because you're not doing it over the entire thing.
I'm just picking. I'm just kind of randomly. I mean, I'm. It's not as random as no, not pure RNG. Yeah. I'm kind of looking at the model and saying, oh, right there would be neat to have a little bit more, and
it's almost like patchwork.
Yeah, but under here it looks like it would be neat to have a little bit more. Yeah, exactly. Because it's not that the leather is this color; it's that it has been discolored almost.
Yeah.
And so we can start throwing all sorts of neat nuances at it. And again, this is showing you that, just with like one pass, I'm getting a really good amount of coloration out on it.
Yeah. And again, what was this workup? Just to remind the folks.
What do you mean?
It was
this color I just blended?
Yeah, it was yellow, orange, and then
an umber.
Umber.
Okay. Burn umber, process yellow, and pyrrole orange.
Dripstick, yeah, leather is fun to work with, especially when you're painting, because you can do so much variety on it, so much texture. Aaron, welcome in. Aaron says, I tagged Slow Fuse in my whip for Sanguinius a couple days ago. What did you all think?
You tagged me?
Did you? Did you tag me too?
I don't think I saw it.
See a tag. I get those notifications, so.
Where on the Discord?
In works in progress pick.
I do not remember being tagged.
You added us, Aaron.
I look at all my notifications daily, and I don't remember getting one. Okay, so now I'm using some Payne's Gray over on this more shadowed side.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
This is just pure Payne's Gray.
I'm Christmas Sushi, Aaron.
And I'm Slow Fuse.
Ooh. Ooh, look at that Payne's Gray, man.
Now this is specifically to give us more shading, right? To start influencing our shadows. I can still stipple it and blend it in with the rest of the leather that we've done, but the goal is different. The goal is to really be just a shadow color.
Blood Walrus says, so if I'm trying to do a shiny colored armor and I'm building up a spectral highlight, I could more easily smooth my gradients with a unified glaze after the fact and do a bit less on the back and forth glazing if I find so frustrating with the liquids.
Mm-hmm.
Not looking for a silver bullet, of course.
Yeah. Yep. You know, you've watched us. If you've been around here for long, you've probably seen Baby J and myself use the transparents in this way.
Mm-hmm.
And not to beat a dead horse, but the transparents are basically low viscosity versions of our expert acrylics. Right?
Okay.
That's really what they are. Is the transparents, and why they work so well at what they do is because they have such an amazing density of pigment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just like the expert acrylics do, we've just made them into a liquid form.
Right.
Okay.
With the transparent, you mean?
Yeah, with the transparents.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And so we'll use the transparents in that way. We'll use them to be able to even out our blends when we're painting quick. Like when you see us do leather. Like if I were doing leather with the liquid acrylics right now, that's probably what I'd be doing. I'd be doing transparent brown over this right now to give it that smooth blending. Now, I'd have to be careful because we're stippling a lot here, and you don't want to cover up all the dotting. But I'll be going back and reinforcing that with another pass as well.
Oh, yeah, that looks good. You can even see that shadow forming up. Yep. That's great. Black Wolf, we're using some of our expert acrylics right now, doing some demo work for the release next week. If you all have questions, please ask. Blood Walrus, that was a great question, by the way. Aaron, we'll check that out after stream. See the Discord, and we'll check out the Sanguinius, Sandwichius, Sandlapius. You know, all the above. And for all of you tuning in, welcome. We are Monument Hobbies. We, the people, are Monument Hobbies.
Here we go.
No, we.
Here
we
we
the
go,
people,
chat.
are Monument Hobbies.
Here we go. Here we go.
We, the people. Wouldn't you say, Jason, we are the people? We are the people, we
I didn't
the people.
say that. You said that.
No, we are the people.
I did not say that. That's you spreading that rumor.
Oh, rumor? What? We're not on the same page here. I like to say that we are painting with Jason so that you all can be assumed to be painting at your desk at the same time, like we are. Right, Jason?
But see, there's no we, Christopher. You're starting from a false premise.
Okay, no,
I am
okay.
painting, and the people out there
Jason.
in TV land are joining with me,
Jason,
not
no.
with us.
No, they're in the same boat. Well, they're technically the water under the boat, but we won't get into those specifics. We are the people. That's right. We are the world. Yeah. Flapjack Nickel Sack. We are the people. We the people. Yes, Flapjack. Yes. You're on to it now. Just saying. I'm painting right now. Right? Oh, there it is. There's the glance I'm looking for. Oh, Jason. What are we going to do?
With what?
We are the wind in Jason's sails. Oh, Black Wolf. Okay. You're on to something. Okay. Now you're all getting it. Good.
Don't egg him on, chat.
Good. All right. I am here and ready and willing to paint this model with Jason. Chuck says, can someone send me the link to the brand of coffee Chris drinks after lunch? I need like 30 pounds of it. I don't have a lot of coffee. Chuck, I'll have one little bit. 1 cup in the morning. That's it. I don't do energy drinks. I just do straight up black coffee. I've been making my own cold brew, and it's been pretty good. I've finally found the trick.
What was the trick?
There's this one blend that I have. That I go into Sprouts, and I get it a really coarse grind. And then I have this aerator for cold brew, and I do that for about 30 minutes, and I let it sit out for 10 hours or so.
Okay.
And it comes out really good. And now I don't have to go to Starbucks anymore. Or some other place to get cold brew. Try my own, chat. Willing to be there with him and paint, but not on camera. This is correct, imposter. Absolutely. I will not be on camera. It's in my contract, actually. It's in the bylaws of Monument Hobbies that I, Christopher HBCD ABC Masucci, shall not and shouldn't not be on camera.
That's not even
Thank
words.
They are in the bylaws, so I don't know about that
words. He's just making crap up, Chet. He's just making crap up now.
Just an FYI, Chris, only psychos drink black coffee. What are you talking about? Will the new paints be good to turn into speed paints, or will the liquid ones be better? Rymir asks.
The liquid paints, I think, are typically going to be your best bet for things like turning into speed paint. Just because they're already, you want that to be something that's fairly low viscosity, and they're already there. So I don't know that you would fool around with taking these down. You could, but I don't know that it's worth the effort. The pigmentation being strong would be the only thing that might make me try it. If you were trying to do something that still had a ton of intensity, but our glaze wash medium with our normal paints is a miracle worker for that. So
if you haven't given our glaze and wash a try, it will blow your mind. Ghoster says the new amp paints are pretty awesome. Nice. I've been using the gray green on some zombies after Jason did his workup. If you go back a couple weeks, you can see, which is crazy that I said it was a couple weeks ago, because it was. You can watch Jason do a really cool zombie horse workup that I really, really liked. Ryber says, batch painting Skaven, I'll need a miracle. Yes. D-Fresh says, a little off-topic question.
Sure.
When is the best time to get free? Wait a second. When is the best time to get freehand painted on a model? Dark Angels trim on their cloaks and hoods? When is the best time to get freehand?
Like when to paint it?
Yeah. When? You mean, maybe like in the process?
That's the way I'm hearing
Yeah.
the question, but let me know if that's what you're asking.
I think that's what you're asking. When is the best time to get freehand painted on a model? Dark Angels trim, fringe, or their cloaks and hoods? You typically do that
at the end.
You do it at the before weathering, though.
Or it depends, right?
On the story.
It depends on what I like to freehand before I do any weathering, because the weathering will happen to all of that, right? So you need to take that into account.
Mm.
So yeah, I think the right way to say it is that, you know, when you're done with all your base coats and ready to move on to effects, do that. Because remember that the freehand is just part of the base coat, right? That's all it is. A lot of people think the emblem on the tank goes on last, right? And I'm like, no, it's part of the tank, right? It's part of the paint on the tank. So you got to make sure you have it there before any of the weathering and everything happens. Now on a cloak, you know, you could look at it a little bit differently because it's a piece of cloth, but I still believe that I would paint like the trim and any of the Dark Angels emblems or anything I was doing. I would do that as part of the main painting, you know, towards the end, and then I would do any of my weathering, OSL, you know, any kind of effects that I had right there along with it.
Northrise asks, is it easier to correct freehand if you haven't done a bunch of stuff on the top of the base colors yet? Yeah, I would say so.
Is it easier to correct freehand
if you haven't done a bunch of stuff on the top of the base coat colors yet?
Yes, if what you're talking about is a lot of stuff on top of the base coat colors, if base coat colors means like the color of the armor, right? So like this guy.
Oh, it's more of a comment than a question. Okay, but this is still kind of a good question if you think about it.
Right, like if I were painting this ultramarine and I did the freehand ultramarine logo, I would do that before I was doing any weathering or anything, right? I would do all these symbols, and then if I was doing scratches and stuff, then I would do the scratches and stuff after.
And scratches.
Yeah, right. So I would do these first, and then whatever scratches and stuff I did. I would not put the freehand over the base coat and then like highlight it all together very often. I would highlight the freehand to match what I had done with the base coat, because the base coats are already done. Like the blue's finished, then I'd put the freehand over it and turn the freehand into whatever I want it to be.
That's a cool freehand. That's all freehand, you said?
Yeah,
that's cool.
All the emblems and stuff are freehand on these guys. So
I like how that one came out.
You know, so same with all of these. I didn't really we painted all these like they were new, so they didn't really have any weathering, but you know, all of the freehand was done.
Imperial Fist?
Yeah. All of the freehand is done over the finished model, basically. Right.
Nice. This is a nice color you got going here. Just a darker version of it, essentially.
It's the same orange we did before.
It's the same orange?
Yeah. I put it on there. Now I'm going to come back and kind of stipple it in with the re-highlighted stipples that we did so that they overlap. But leather for me is a transitional way of painting. Similar to flesh, and that may sound a little silly because of course it does, because leather is flesh. But I like to go back and forth with my coloring over it.
Yeah.
To get it just right. I'll put some light color on, some dark color on, you know, bring it to life that way rather than try to finish it like I would, you know, like that ultramarine armor where I'm just like, okay, you start with a purple and then you move to a blue, and you know, then you highlight it with brighter blue and you're done, right? I try to think in terms of leather giving you the ability to go back and forth to get it exactly the way you want. Like if I have any areas with this that I might have gotten the line a little bit too bright along an edge, then I just come back with this glaze of the orange, leave some of them bright, some of them dark. Just gives me a more alive feel. Or not alive, wrong word. Better storytelling.
More seasoned?
Yeah, I think that's a good term.
Charactered?
Character is a great word for it.
A little bit more character.
Because again, when did it get that way?
When
did the scratch happen? you know, before or after the last time or next time they touched it or whatever. So, you know, there's a.
I think that's what I need to do. I think I just need to take some out of the, rather than, because I was testing it the other day, like the consistency when I was doing a shoot.
Uh-huh.
And I think I just taking it a little bit out at a time almost with my brush.
Uh-huh.
Or just the control so I don't squeeze it too hard. I think that's what I was doing. I'm like, ooh, I don't need this much paint.
Right.
It's cool, and the consistency is really nice, but I'm like, I don't think I'm going to use this much. It goes a long way.
Yeah, you feel like you're wasting a lot if you put out too much on the palette.
It's not a waste if you're going to use it, but yeah, definitely. I think I was using too much. Nice. Panic Bomb. I did paint this weekend.
What'd you paint?
I painted up some gargants.
Still working on the.
Yeah, I kind of go back to that when
Uh-huh.
I'm not feeling. I just actually I just got a notification. I just got my Psychro weapon in
nice.
the mail today
From eBay.
Yep. So I am going to eventually start that, but this weekend was Mother's Day, so I spent some time with my mom. I did some deep cleaning of the house.
You guys have a nice Mother's Day?
I did. We did.
Take her out and do anything cool?
No, we took her out to brunch.
Cool.
Yep.
Go to McDonald's?
No McDonald's.
She's not important, huh?
You wouldn't mind McDonald's though. The yeah, we had a good one, but I painted a little bit. I'm in that zone of like I think I just need to start a new project. And Earthworm Jim is up there. I'm gonna start with the base, or just getting. I need to storyboard it. That's what I need to do to really start that thing.
Yeah.
I need to not. I'm not gonna rush into it. Like I want to storyboard it and figure out what I'm doing, because I want to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm also debating if I get some of those new Burrow Knights and Death Rattle skeletons.
Oh yeah,
because the manifestations just came out, or they're coming out.
For your Soul Blight?
Yeah, but I just finished that whole army, so I'm like, I don't know. I kind of just did that, so I don't want to do it again. So I got to keep it fresh. So in the meantime, I always have a Gargant on standby to reset my palette. That's really what it is become. Like I literally just keep them off to the side now when I need to just do something. Is an army ever really finished? Yes, Rymir, I believe that is achievable. Once you're done and your theme is done, you're done. I would say my Soulblight army is done. I have many completed armies, but they're completed in my old ways, not my new ways, my old ways.
Chris gets really excited when he learns new stuff and likes to put it to use, which is awesome. He'll come into the office a lot of times and say, you know that thing you did? Check it out. I used it. And it's so neat to see because it's kind of like a step outside of the norm for you. And when you find something that gets you excited, that's all I can ever ask for.
Yep. The stippling is a big one where I'm like, okay, how am I actually going to practice stippling? Because I'm trying to get better at just not just painting my leather just straight up warm brown. It's a great color, but I need to give it some more character.
Yep. So
if I just take a little extra time to do that stipple like this, I mean, you know, obviously when you're doing like itty bitty leather belts on a 28 scale model, it's different, but still same deal.
Yeah, it doesn't always have as big of an impact, but it can.
Yep. Oh yes, on army, that's the thing. The rules everybody always changes. That's why armies get changed up. But in my mind, the army looks good together. That's when I know the army's done. for me. But the Earthworm Jim diorama, what am I gonna do? What am I trying to say? The Dreadnought. I have never done something where I actually did panel lining, right? I've never actually taken the time to do panel lining of any kind ever.
Oh wow!
Right? That'll be the first model that I have done where it's actually painting up legit panels using the white method that Jason showed us.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to try it. I've never done it, but I'm thinking maybe I just have to try it. And I don't really have like an objective with the Earthworm Jim diorama. It's just, I just want it to sit there and look good to me. That's it. That's the objective. I did do a bunch of research on it again, though, this weekend. And one of his pupils is just black. Then there's his big eye has an iris that's green and with a pupil, though.
Earthworm Jim.
He only has one iris color in one eye, green, which is very interesting. Panic Bomb, yes, you can use old rules. Yep. Northrax, I'm one model away from having my Flesh Eater Quartz collection painted. That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
That's a really good
feeling. Super good feeling.
When you're just like, I got one more model and it's done. And whether you use it for a game or not, it's still an accomplishment.
Doesn't matter at that point, does it? Right?
It doesn't. I mean, that's
you know
that's what I've been saying. It's like the rules are going to change. The game's always going to change. So that's why I've totally changed the army field to just the theme, right? Unfortunately, here's the thing, Dazzle. I am not a good draw. Like, I don't draw very well. So I can't, when I storyboard something, I don't draw very well.
He does a hell of a stick figure storyboard, though.
I do that. I do that. Aaron says, how long have you been painting, Chris? Did you paint less before you started working here? 1,000%. I've only been I've been painting for, 3 years now? 2 years? But not to the level of excitement within this last year, I would say. I'm finding the joy of it more now, Aaron. Because I'm enjoying it, because I'm seeing some of these techniques come to life and work for me, and that's what keeps getting me jazzed. Is when I finally start using the technique, it works, and then that's what's encouraging to have me try other things. Yes, you know what? I will do a stick. I'll do collage work though. Daz Fizzla, I'll do collage work. That's probably how I'll actually do this one, where I'll like print out a picture and then do like a collage board of it or something. I almost got distracted because now there's a couple of the guys, they're playing 40K here, right? And I also have orcs I could paint. There's too much things to paint. Too many things.
There's definitely too many cool things.
Yeah.
I do have to get distracted.
I have a whole orc army I could paint with really cool big stompy robots. Bud says, since finding PA paints has inspired me to paint more. I will also say that as well. When I first started painting with Gabe and I first started painting, when we just wanted to get into Age of Sigmar, we were just buying paints to get the paints and get it done, right? Then I was coming up with wacko ideas that are still fun. They're still theme-based, but, then Philip got us into using PA paints. ProCurl, obviously, and it's just easier to use. That's the whole thing. Because I don't do glazes. I don't do a lot of washes. I'll do a lot of base coats and then a little bit on top of that, and then I'll dry brush a lot. Because I just like doing that. I feel like I'm at my painting therapist office right now. I just like dry brushing. I don't really necessarily like
nothing wrong with that at
the
all.
effect of dry brushing. I just like to do it.
Nothing wrong.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%.
I'll just do it because I like how it comes out at the end, but not the result, which is weird for me. But
I take some Payne's Gray and some of the process yellow and get us a
Aaron says,
color on here.
I just started last year. I think every time I saw Warhammer stuff, I'd think that's for mega nerds. Then my cop buddy showed me his army, and now I'm surrendered to the madness. Oh, 100%. I saw some tree models, and I'm like, that's what I want to do. Ooh, that's a dope color.
Yeah, kind of it's just a really deep kind of green, blue-green color. I'm thinking that would be really neat on these straps.
Zoom in one more. Nice. Yeah, so that's my painting journey in a nutshell. And now I'm here. Look at that progression.
Now we're stuck with him.
This is true. You know, obviously you all know this watching this, and this is going to sound like a no duh, but if you really watch what Jason's doing and then just attempt it, it will come easily if you just keep trying it. I know that's like a no duh, but I did the same thing when I was filming golf, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm just going to try this thing that this person said. Obviously, Jason's been on the journey for a long time. So if I just do what they say, which is kind of...
The rest should follow.
Yes, and it really does work. It might look a little, it's not going to look at this level at the get-go. You're not going to hit the ball straight every time, but at least you get the concepts. And then at some point, the light bulb will go off. So I know, I'm not trying to sound profound here, Orky Fish. I know that sounds super basic, but hopefully you guys are trying these things because it's really that simple.
It really is.
It is. Yes, it's obviously Jason's got, 40 plus years of this behind him, but, you just have to try it. Papa Chicken says, no way that works. I'd rather continue watching while caught in the throes of analysis paralysis. Well, Papa Chicken, I can't help you there. And he says, I think I have enough of pile of opportunity to paint Sully for 5 years. Yep. And not have to buy new models. I would say the pile of opportunity. Well, if you're you can always come back to something, but I would also say paint what you want to do. And if your pile of opportunity or shame, whatever you want to call it, doesn't have the thing you want to paint, then pivot.
Very much so, yeah.
Because, we all have a pile of shame, but that doesn't, sometimes you're like, oh, I just don't want to paint another zombie right now. Which is what I got into.
%100%. There are times where you're just like, yeah, I'm not feeling the project I'm working on. Hell, it happens to me on stream. There's been rare occasions, but you guys have seen them where I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I want to do this anymore. And I'll pivot and go paint something else.
Yep.
Why not? Why stick around fighting with something you're not having fun with?
Yep.
If you can go find something to have fun with. It doesn't mean that you should give up on every project just because it gets tough. That's a different story. But somewhere in there is the truth for you, and it doesn't matter if a project goes a little south. I think having a minimum of 2 projects is probably really, really good.
I would agree.
And some people have even more than that. That's really more of a, a budget question. What can you bear to have, But I think that, you know, a minimum of 2 projects is really, really good because it always gives you an out, right? If you're painting, chances are you're expecting or hopeful at least that that painting leads you to a particular place that you're happy with. And if it doesn't, well, then get out the other project and maybe the other project will.
Yeah, having that standby project will definitely help. Brutal Burrito says, one thing I found that works for me to have 3 projects going at once.
Yeah.
One display, one for gaming, and one that's just something new. Ooh, sculpting or basing. I like that. I could get behind that, Brutal Burrito. Yeah. Oh, Northrex, that's a good point too. The key is to make that pivot like a kill team and not an entire army. You know, I just did that with Frostgrave. It's 8 guys. That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like I'm painting, you know, obviously 40 zombies.
Right.
Which I'm done with, and I painted. That's why I'm like, don't want to buy the new Borrow Knights. They're cool models, but I'm like, I just did 20 of these. Yeah. I just did 40 of these.
You know what I love? I love not having to shake the bottle. It sounds so stupid, but I really love not having to shake the bottle.
It's kind of
so good.
Built into your
so good
muscle memory.
Yeah, I'm gonna get some greens out now too. I'm gonna start moving to the metal part of the chest plate, so I'm gonna get some other colors going.
Hickman says I got 6 projects going at the moment. That's probably actually a good thing though. It keeps that mind pivot good.
Well, you do commission stuff too, though, don't you, Sinjin?
Right.
Got some sap green, permanent green light, cobalt blue, and process blue to play with here. We're going to use all those. I'm going to take a little bit of my sap green.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and a little bit of my blue. And that's going to give me the next stage up of color from where we were with the dark sea Ben. It'd be kind of a neat color to move into. Less thinning with this because I want it to kind of be more of a neat layer color here.
Blu-ray says, I feel the same way as Jason. If I can make a similar color to what I'm looking for with paints already on the palette, I'll do that instead of shaking up the color I want.
Oh, gosh. If you've been around here on the stream, well, you probably laughed at me a million times because I will legitimately mix a color and be like, ooh, that's the perfect color. And you're like, yeah, that. And, you know, Chad will be like, yeah, that's your color you have in your lineup. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it is, isn't it? You know? It's just what happens. It's just what happens.
Yep. Hickman says I do commissions and sell my sell my others personal work to the vault. Gotcha. Yeah, I think the moral of the story there is to have the more holy cow.
What's that?
I just now looked back. I was looking at chat and then I looked at this green and I'm totally into it. Oh, I like that green. Zoom back out. Look at that.
This is just a little bit more of the yellow into that.
It's great.
Like process blue and like sap green.
Dude, this is like a like Emerald City vibes.
Kind of fun.
I like this color. Roadside Miniature says, speaking of Deep Sea Ben, I don't remember where I got this idea from, but would Deep Sea Ben and white blue work well for doing a non-metallic steel?
100%.
Oh, dude, this color.
We've worked it up like that before. It's great. that's basically what we're going to be doing here. I'm just adding a little bit more yellow into it to give it kind of a more punchy green base tone to it.
It's really nice. I like this green.
But this is going to be steel. So
this is just the base.
Yeah.
I thought something was wrong. He got so pumped over the green. I just like that green right now.
Yeah, I was like, what happened?
No,
Chris?
I'm just re-looked.
He was like,
at
oh my gosh!
I was just reading the chat and I just wanted that green.
What the ever loving?
That's a good green. Yes, ghoul green is probably my favorite color.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know this.
Green's my favorite for sure.
I like military greens.
Yeah.
That's a very boring way to look at green, but I really like military faded yellow greens and
dark yellow green. That kind of green.
Dark yellow green.
That's my favorite.
No, that's my jam.
That's probably my favorite
I'm with you
hue
on
of green.
that. I'm with you on that one. Right, okay, so more sap. More blue.
Choke says, what do I get if I get all the PA paints? Is there a badge or a happy face or a sticker? Do I get it in the mail?
Who's asking this?
You know what? Chocoleo Paints? I don't know if I actually ever pronounce your name correctly, to be honest.
We send out stickers with orders. There's not a like right? once you've gotten them, there's not like a trumpet that goes off. If you're at the show and you do it, we ring a bell a lot of times, which is kind of fun. We should have like a Hall of Heroes.
A Hall of Heroes?
Right? All the people that can certify they've bought.
Kochi, okay. Kochi, okay.
All the people that we can certify have bought all the colors. Have a Hall of Heroes. That'd be kind of fun.
I will be your guide. I don't know. Whatever you want. I'll give you a couple sushi points if you buy all the paints.
Huh.
Just a couple. No, I don't want. I'm not going to exchange. I don't want to cause you disruption in our market. I thought we got cool warrior bling for having colors. Yeah, T-Schmid.
I like this as a base. I'm very sloppy as I'm basing for metallics most of the time.
Just to get it.
Yeah, just to get some color. Because this color is only supposed to give me a backdrop for all of the stuff we do to, do our reflective metals and things like that. This is not intended to be anything more than
Dude, this is great,
a shift to the base level of color and hue on the metal, because when you're doing steel, you have so many directions you can go. And I'm just making this up as I go, right? We're literally playing the creative muse game here, which can change daily for what I'm interested in seeing on this model.
Spaznet says you can show off your empty checking account. Yeah, there you go. Oh yeah, I'm really digging this green.
Dark Sea Ben is such a great color because when you put a green next to it, it becomes very blue.
Yeah.
When you put a blue on it, it becomes very green. It just gives you a really good workable color for steel because you can move it in all those directions. Not that you want to use green. I mean, you can use oranges and rusts and all sorts of colors for it. But the fact that it leans so well into both of those kind of cool natured colors with green and blue.
Yeah.
Gives you a lot of flexibility.
Black Sword says, "G'day. Monument Hobbies. Hey, I was lucky enough to find your titanium white to replace my other white to edge highlights down here in Australia.
Awesome.
When at a local Warhammer tournament. Can't wait to try it out. Oh, it's going to blow your mind. You're
Awesome.
going to want everything.
Was it AOS Coaches Tournament?
Oh, yeah. Was it Anthony's? Yeah.
Anthony's a big fan. We just saw him at Adepticon again.
Yes.
He's great.
Ooh, Okran's got a good question. I actually didn't really think about this. For monthly challenges, when we use a limited color palette, do you have to use all of the colors or are you just limited to them?
Great question. Yes, we ask you to use all of the colors. That's part of the challenge part. Otherwise, you could take every one of them and just use black and white.
That's true. Oh, okay. No, it wasn't Anthony's. Okay. Arc 40K here in Melbourne, Australia. Okay, got it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That Arch.
That's cool. You're going to love it. You're going to want all the other colors.
We can already tell you. You're lost. Welcome to our little family.
Star Laser's asking, hey there, I've been using your titanium white for a while, and it's gotten really chunky. Any reason why? Does it need a super shaking?
Titanium white has gotten chunky? That would only happen if you left a bottle open, I think. No, there's no reason. The transparent white.
Yeah, are you talking about transparent there? Star?
Transparent white is a zinc-based white, and it could have problems getting a little bit thick because of the zinc in it. It's a true zinc white pigment. So that's possible. But no, titanium white won't thicken unless it evaporates, which could happen if you left the top open or something like that. We've got people that still have the Gen 1 special white.
Oh, yeah. I took a picture of that one gentleman that brought it to Nova.
Yeah, that still worked. I think that was Big Bob?
Big Bob? I don't remember if it was Big Bob. Maybe it was Big Bobzilla. No, it's titanium. It's just gotten quite thick and comes out like toothpaste. I don't think I left it open at some point, but it is possible.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. The only reason that would happen is because of evaporation. Did you happen to take the seal out of it?
Oh, you know what, Star? I bet you.
Did you take the O-ring seal out when you took the original tamper-proof seal on it off? They come with two seals in it. One of them is a flat seal you have to take off or the paint won't come out. The other is an O-ring seal that needs to stay in the jar, depending on how old it is. But even without the O-ring seal, those jars seal up pretty good.
Black Sword says, it might be the case replacing my current paints. Yes, we would love that for your journey. Do you have a guide for matching paints with other paint ranges?
For our paints, the best we do is there is a company called Paint Rack that makes an app for iPhone and Android, and we work closely with them with all of our colors, and they then have a bunch of features in their app that will show you, like, if you pick a color from another manufacturer, what's the closest thing in our lineup. Unfortunately, we don't develop colors like some manufacturers do based on what the big sellers are from our competition. It's just not a thing we do.
Okran says that she's had the same experience with the white, but never left it open either.
Yeah, you'd have to contact support. Titanium white just won't do that. So it would be a deal where it got left open is the only thing. It has to have evaporated water to get any type of higher viscosity going on.
Spaznet says, to the people that still have usable original white paint, you should paint more.
Also true, but it is cool.
It's cool, but why haven't you
should paint more? Yes.
Unless you have been keeping it as an artifact or relic, that's different. But speaking of artifacts and relics, Jason, it is time.
What? No way.
Yeah, dude.
You're lying to me.
It is 4 o'clock.
I don't know why
right
you're robbing
now.
people of their fun.
It is happening right now. Jason.
Well, damn.
We have plenty of time this week. You're gonna be doing this whole week.
Enemy of fun is making me stop.
I have to keep it. I gotta keep it a little bit real for y'all. Chris is a meanie head.
We have a little bit of paint that I'm going to use because I spend so much time mixing this, so I'm not walking away from this paint as easily. Okay. So Chris can take us out. He can talk about all this stuff.
I'm going to try to do it in reverse. Hey, if you're new here, thank you so much for choosing us. We are Monument Hobbies. We stream every day, Monday through Friday, 2 to 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And that is not an oil company. That is Mountain Standard Time. That is a time in the United States of America. If I just put up a bunch of links, check out our store link to find all of the amazing products that we have to offer. You can hit that store link, and also the FLGS link, which will also show you where you can find us locally. Support your stores. We love being able to support them, and they probably love that you support them. Also, I put up the YouTube link there, where we put essentially all of the little tips and tricks that Jason does. I cut them down and I put them up there. Plus, you can see the VODs tab. If you miss something, it will always go up there. And also, hit our Discord. Ghost Hunter's not here today. I have not seen one chat from Ghost Hunter. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're out there, we almost have 6,000. Almost. I think we're probably around like 5,670 or something.
Yeah.
People in the Discord.
Gotta be.
So
yeah.
If you are not in the Discord, please go over there. We do monthly challenges. We talk. There's so many people in there talking all the time, showing their works in progress. You can also ask questions and tag us personally if we're not on stream. And yeah, we really appreciate you guys coming in and spending some time with us. Stay tuned for our heavy body acrylics. Our expert acrylic line will be coming out sometime next week. You'll see that on socials. Flapjack says we have 5,660 Discord members, and I'll plug it, that are looking for Ghost Hunter. Where art thou? Yes, that is my spiel. We're going to find somebody to raid here in a little bit. So that was my pitch, Jason.
Yeah, it was pretty good, Chris. Hey, you had me convinced. Hey, I'm ready to join.
Hey.
Where do I sign?
Like I said, if you haven't joined the Discord, hop in there. We also do announcements of things early. Hint, hint. Nudge, nudge. Wink, wink. All of the good. So, yeah, that's it. All right,
well, I got some highlights on the breastplate. I got some light starting to show up on the breastplate, so we'll see what happens. But we got some leather done today. We're actually moving pretty quick.
We got a lot done today.
Got the beginning of the brassiere, which was just literally Nicolazzo yellow and black, and then a little bit of white to highlight it up there on the top. So I think that's looking pretty good. And then we'll move on to continuing with the steel tomorrow.
Yeah.
See if we can't get a good workout for that. Having fun.
Cool.
Thank you so much for everybody for hanging out with us. We look forward to seeing you back. Check out all the links Chris put up. Stick around for the raid. Catch you back tomorrow. Adios.